back to Jacey's Creek. My name is Emily, and today we are doing Season 4, Episode 4, Future Tense. And this is about where Joey finds out that she is top 3 or 4, and she goes to a party and she gets drunk. So that's the moral of the story. And those came out on November 1st, 2000, and fun fact, that was actually 4 years before my brother was born. If you have not already, make sure to follow my Instagram, that's Witter and Potter, my TikTok, that's Pacey and Joey, and make sure to subscribe, like, and comment on Jacey's Creek podcast, and you will catch every single episode Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's when new episodes come out and where we talk about Pacey and Joey as a couple and as individuals. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode. So, first scene that we have is scene 1 of Pacey and Joey, and they're in Joey's bedroom, and Pacey and Joey are doing their homework while Pacey is sitting in a chair and Joey is at her desk, and Pacey goes, "I'm bored." And Joey says, "Good." And Pacey says, "Good. I thought you were supposed to be concerned in the light of my tragedy." Which, I'm like, Pacey, that's a low blow. That is a low blow, my friend. You made your girlfriend really concerned, and that's why she's probably making you do homework, not the fact that she just wants to torture you. It's like when your parents tell you to do homework and say you don't do it, but then they're like, if you don't do this, you're gonna get like a bad grade. And that's kind of how Joey and Pacey's relationship is right now, which is kind of funny to me. And Joey says, "Pacey, it's presumably because of your recent tragedy you suffered that you could use a little boredom. Now keep reading." And Pacey says, "I'm serious here, Joe. What's the point in reading a book about the future when the future in the book is already the past?" And Joey says, "Everyone's future eventually becomes the past, Pacey." And Pacey says, "Yeah, but 1984? Big woof. It happened. It's over. It's no big deal." Which, me too, Pacey. Me too, I felt that. And Joey goes, "And how do you know that? You were in diapers at the time." And Pacey says, "VH1 behind the music, thank you very much." And the point is these people in the 50s, they spent their whole lives worrying about what the whole future is going to look like. And it gets here and turns out it's going to be okay, except for the whole Boy George thing. But who could predict that, huh? What's the stuff? And it's like, oh, he was asking like, what's this stuff? Because he found like a whole like thing of envelopes, and Joey says, "Oh, it's nothing, it's just junk mail." And Pacey says, "Junk mail?" And Joey says, "It's college mail that came over the summer." And Pacey says, "You get junk mail from Princeton University?" And Joey says, "It doesn't mean anything. It comes from everywhere. I mean, like, for instance, like, I'm going to the State Olaf College, or University of Hawaii, or Venice University." Where is that? It's like in Brazil or something. And Pacey says, "But you are going somewhere." And Joey says, "Well, not right this second. I mean, it's early yet. It's early yet anyway." It feels early, but September goes into May so fast, and you're like, crap, I still need to apply to college. Like, I'm just gonna be honest here. And she says, maybe I'll just go to one of those fictional colleges, like one of those lame high school TV shows that go off for a while, and then it just in time to save the France, and all of a sudden it turns that there's an amazing world-class college that's right around the corner where the principal characters are accepted. Oh, also at this point, they're like, Joey is sitting in Pacey's lap, and Pacey's staring up at her, and Joey says, "Just to be safe, we should probably start the application process." And she kisses him, which I always thought was really cute. And then I think this scene kind of comes upon like Pacey knows that he is going to be that Cape Side person, like they were talking about in episode 2, I believe, where Pacey was like, "I'm a townie, I'm always going to be a townie." And Joey's like, "Well, you're not to me, like you are not a townie." And Pacey does not believe her whatsoever. And in this episode where he sees her like getting college applications and all this different kind of stuff, Like, it makes him nervous, but not up into the point where he's like freaking out about it. She's the one that's freaking out about it, personally. And I feel like in her head, it's this big, like, ordeal about everything that's gonna happen, and she kind of reminds him that she's not going anywhere because she knows that he's probably gonna freak out about that eventually. So then we have the scene where Joey is in the college advisor, and there's like a montage of all these different kind of like, everyone's like in the office, and so with this advisor, and so the advisor says, to make fresh today you want to go to college, and Jack says, well, I didn't know how many little forms I'm going to fill out, but I intend to start. I do. And it's been a little busy with football. I know it's not going to help me at college, but I started this thing and I don't want to quit until it's done. And then Andy, that's her part of the montage, and she says, I'm really glad I did the action early. Oh, and it's just that gigantic weight has been, and then Joey says, placed firmly around my neck. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's not like I can afford to apply to a zillion places. And Dawson says, everyone just assumes I'm going to film school. And the advisor says, you're not? And Dawson says, well, I'm not ruling anything out. I mean, maybe I will and maybe I won't. And Pacey says, this is his part of the scene, if the aptitude test says I'm well suited for a career in the law enforcement, it's obviously in serious needing of retooling. You have talked to my brother, have you? And Jack says, haha, she said, what? And the advisor says, your sister tells you you're quite not as far as the application process as you have been. And Jack says, do you know my sister? And Andy says, are you saying there's nothing I can do at this point? I mean, couldn't we call or something? And then Pacey says, how can anyone be sure where they want to spend the next 4 years of their life? And I'm so sick and tired of everyone answering these lame questions, like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Just wish me luck, lady, I'll probably still be here. Pacey. And Joey, meanwhile, is like, I'm actually the first person in my family to even apply to college. And the advisor says, that could work to your advantage. Elite schools are generally looking for people in diverse backgrounds, and you're at the top of your class. And Joey says, the top, and the advisor says, number 4, and the board scores are phenomenal. I think that you could be practical in anywhere in the country. And Joey says, and this is where the butt comes in. And the advisor says, while the Ivy's Georgetown deck stands for, I mean, those schools attack the meaner amount of people, and hardly anyone gets in for a free ride. So if you're telling me I set my size too high, it's a crap shot. Now, I do think you're smart and talented enough to be in. Yes, I do. Do I think you prepare yourself for the most possibility you might want one of these people? That can hurt. So, I do have to say this. I haven't been to college yet, and I don't plan on going like in a big college or anything. My plan is to get like a certificate and go from there. But I do feel like people hype college up so much, like all these big universities and all this other kind of stuff. Like, if you want to be a doctor, that would make sense. Like, go get your education from a great school. But I feel like nowadays, they don't hype it up as much as they did in the 90s or early 2000s or the 80s or 70s or whatever. Like, I feel like nowadays, it's like, okay, like, if you want to do whatever you want to do, go do whatever you want to do. And I feel like that's how much it has changed in, like, 22 years since this. So then we have scene 1 of Joey, where she's outside the Potter B&B, and Bessie is on a bench when Joey comes up and joins her, and Joey says, can I ask you a question? What does it mean when you dream that your teeth are slowly resolving back in your head, and the world's leading experts are powerless to stop it? And Bessie says, it means you shouldn't stay up all night stressing about college. You get in those places, great. They give you tons of financial aid, and everything will be perfect. And Joey says, yeah, that's what I thought too until yesterday. And Bessie said, what happened yesterday? And Joey says, I had a meeting with a new college advisor. And Bessie says, so? And Joey says, I'm 4th. And Joey says, I'm 4th. And Bessie says, 4th in your class? And she gasps and she goes, Joey, that's amazing. And Joey says, yeah, it's amazing, but Bessie, all these places that I thought I wanted to apply to, they're looking for people who are fourth and, concert violins is, or they win in the Western Science Prize or legends like Andy. I mean, maybe I couldn't even bother. Maybe I probably been wasting my time with the application fees. And Bessie says, your Venus attitude has got to go. What does Pacey say? She goes, Pacey is barely gonna graduate. I can't cry on his shoulder about the tragic of the expert activities. If I tell Pacey how stressed out I am, he's gonna think that I'm pathetic, whiny crybaby, And Bessie says, look, going to these schools open up the opportunity you dreamed about. Right? And Joey says, right. And Bessie says, so your dreams are your dreams, Joey. You can't apologize to him. Just talk to him. You're gonna find out these are his dreams too. I love that statement, because it is. It's fully true. Once he gets past what she's trying to say, later in the episode, we'll see what it comes back to. So then we have scene 3 of Pacey and Joey, where Joey is talking to Pacey. And Joey says, if I tell you what's bothering me, will you promise not to laugh at me, or tell me I'm insane, or insist that I should get over myself? And Pacey says, I think I could probably do that, yeah. And Joey says, shies, and she says, I found out yesterday I'm 4th. My class rank, I'm 4th. And Pacey laughs and goes, that's your problem? That's a problem? If anything, that's a reason to quit studying. And Joey says, I don't even know why I'm bothered. I knew you would understand. And Pacey says, okay, I'm sorry, that was bad. Can we try this again? Yeah. But this time we gotta cut off this stuff about being number 4, because I know that can't possibly be the reason why you're so bothered. And Joey says, well, no, it's just I always thought that I did well in school, that these doors were open for me, And maybe being naive, maybe I'll set these goals realistic. And certain people get into certain places because of who their parents are. And she realized that Pacey's not listening. She's like, you're not even listening. And Pacey goes, no, I was listening. Look, we just can't all have problems, You're sitting here as a girl with the brightest futures on the planet, talking to a guy who's not going to get into school where he can't even get his own tools. And that's when Joey says, put on your shoes, let's go out. And Pacey says, out? We can't go out. And Joey says, yeah. And Pacey goes, just when the conversation starts to get emotionally complex, you go, who's the guy in this relationship? And Joey says, you are. And as a guy, you have a choice. You can either stay here and prove how sensitive you aren't, or you can go to Jen's birthday party. And Pacey says, right, I'll get my shoes. Which, I like how Pacey's he knows that she wants to talk, but Joey knows that he's not gonna listen to her at the moment, because he, he's that's your problem? That's the thing that you're stressed about? Because I wish I had a problem with that right now. And Joey was kind of right. Joey was right where she said, I can't talk to Pacey about these problems. But Bessie was also right where she was saying, I'm going to quote her on this, where she says, you can't apologize for them, just talk to him. You'll probably find out these are his dreams too. And then, he goes right over here, and she's he even says, you're the girl as, which he says she's a girl, which he never says girl. I think this is the first time I ever heard him say that. And he goes, with the brightest futures on the planet, talking to a guy who's not going to get in any school where he has his own tools. Which I feel this kind of compares how Pacey and Joey are and what makes them them. So then we have scene 4 of Pacey and Joey, where it cuts to a punch bowl, and Drew is serving when Joey and Pacey come up to him, and Pacey says, it's exciting. Can't get enough, Drew? And Drew says, Witter, I knew you couldn't resist a party. I see you brought the prime ripper. Which I'm when did Drew and Pacey meet? And Joey says, we came for your unmoral soul. That is, if you got one, actually. I just like a drink. And Drew says, here's one for you and for you. And Pacey says, thanks. And then as Joey is about to get his drink, he goes, oh, no, I don't think So it's a proven fact that you, madam, cannot hold your alcohol. Which kind of goes back to season, I think it was season 1, episode, I don't know what episode it was, where Joey gets completely drunk and Pacey has to punch that guy. That's what he's talking about. And Joey says, so let me get this straight. You can drink at parties and I can't? And Pacey says yes, because as you rightfully so pointed out, I am the guy and I am going to get in trouble and for being a guy. I think at least you should get in action like once in a while. You know, with your average permission and approval. And of course, I wouldn't, do it without asking first. And Joey says, that's fine. And Pacey says, that's fine. And Joey says, yeah, we'll go be guys tonight. Cheers. And I love Joey when she says that. She's like, that's fine, we'll go be guys tonight because you can't tell me what to do. And it just goes a long way. That is just Joey's personality right there. And it's so funny to me. Then we have the next scene, which is scene 2 of Joey. And Joey is just automatically drunk. Like, she is a lightweight. We know that. And drunk Joey is the best Joey. And Dawson comes over and sits next to her, and they're talking to each other. And Dawson says, so number 4 with the bullet, huh? And Pacey says, how do you know that, Dawson? And Dawson says, Kenny Ron and friends have already established a beating bull. And Joey sighs and says, kind of pathetic, isn't it? I mean, 12 years of being a total control freak about school, basically getting an armed hunting sales and building patents and wood bridges for extra credit. And where does it go? Get me 4th. And Dawson says, Joey, 4th is amazing. I mean, the race isn't over yet. That's what you're doing tonight, celebrating. And Joey laughs and says, yeah, the future. Bee. And Dawson says, Joey, everything's gonna work out exactly the way you want it. Between your grades and your SAT scores, you can get anywhere. And Joey says, not everything, not you two. Dawson, I mean, can't 2 people sit and make small talk without the subject of college coming up? I mean, isn't that possible? I mean, what's next? Are you going to talk to me where I see myself in 5 years? And Dawson says, I don't have to. Aren't you the same girl who wanted to be an architect or an oceanographic? And Joey laughs and says, yeah. Dawson, do you have any idea how much artists make? And besides, I was just saying that to get your goat. I mean, your buttons are so easy to push. Well, we're so easy. And Dawson takes her seriously. I'm like, Dawson, she's drunk right now. Don't take her seriously. But that's why I love drunk Joey, because she would never say anything like that. And Dawson says, so you have never had any desire to do great and heroic things with your life. See faraway places, uncover lost civilities. When it comes down right to it, you just want to be happy hanging out on Cape Side. And Joey says, I didn't say that. Don't put words into my mouth. Which is true. Like, he's putting words into her mouth. He always says that. And Dawson says, I'm trying to figure out why someone who wanted to rehab the benefits of something she worked her entire life, she's trying to drown herself in some proof 80 fruit punch. And Joey says, look, Dawson, don't do this. And Dawson says, okay, cheers. And she walks away, and she just gives him like this weird look throughout this whole scene, and it's really funny to me. But it kind of goes back to Dawson knows her as Little Joey, and he doesn't know like the full extent. Well, Pacey knows her now. Dawson has never known her hopes and her dreams as a person right now, because he never really asked. And it's kind of like earlier when Dawson was like, everyone assumes I'm going to film school. Like, yeah, everyone assumes you're going to film school because you talk about films all the time. Like, of course you're going to film school. And right now, like, instead of like putting it in her, he kind of like starts to argue with her what she wants to do with her life. And it would make sense, but I think at the time, like, you're 17, 18, like, life is hard as it is, and it's like you can't expect someone to really want to be the person that they want to be if life is so hard. Like, you don't really know what you're gonna do. Like, I heard so many people saying that they're gonna go to this big, expensive school and they're gonna get a 4-year degree. And I'm like, oh, what are you getting a degree? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, huh? Why? Why don't you know where you're gonna go? Like, what is happening here? And it's like, everyone just assumes that when you go off to college or anything like that, it's going to be the easiest thing, when really it just gets a little bit harder, I assume. And when you're a senior in high school, everything is so exciting with the application process and all this other kind of stuff, and you want to see which college you get into, and everything's so stressful because you're paying like 30 grand for this one college or more than that. Like, you get a scholarship and all this different kind of stuff. And that's how, like, Joey is right now. Like, she's like so frustrated on everything that's happening, and she knows that. Like, everything that is happening could just be a full ride of a scholarship, but she doesn't get a full ride. Like, I feel like she would like work and like put some money in the bank or something. Like, I don't really know. Like, you'd think her and Bessie would like figure out something. So then we have scene 1 of Pacey, where it cuts to Drew sitting at a table getting ready to play some cards when Pacey comes up, walking up and looking for Joey, and Drew says, okay, well, that looks good. Poker time, gentlemen. Who's playing? Hey, Witter, how about you? You up for a little card game where you have to ask permission from your old ball and chain? And Pacey says, I'll be happy to find the old ball and chain right now. And Drew says, I think I just saw her talking to Dawson. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. She took a walk with a birthday girl, which is why you should stay here and play cards with us. So what do you say? 5 draws, you in or out? And Pacey says, well, it's your money. So then we have scene 3 of Joey, where meanwhile, Drew was right, and she was on a walk with Joe. Like, Jen and Joey are on a walk right now. And they're walking, and it comes to stop at the end, and Jen says, all right, Joey, I think our walk far enough. Now, what did you need to tell me? Is here good? And Joey says, yes, here is good. Good because, well, I would like to make a toast of all the love and happiness in the world to my friend Jen Lumley on her birthday. And Jen says, well, thank you very much, Joey, but you do know it's not really my birthday. And Joey says, that's right. And she laughs and she says, I mean, we're not really friends. And the both of them start really laughing. And she goes, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I love that part. Like, she goes, I mean, we're not really friends. I'm like, she's like, drunk mind, sober thoughts. And she goes, let's not dwell on. And okay, so Jen says, you know what, Joey? Let's not dwell. Oh, okay, that's when she goes, and Joey says, we are, I think. Do you think we are? Because I can't really even pinpoint exactly when we became friends. And Jen says, you know what, Joey? Let's not dive into too much, because we'll start remember why we're supposed to hate each other. And Joey goes, I don't hate you. And that's when Jen kind of like pulls Joey into her, and Joey goes, I love you. And Jen laughs, and she goes, I know. And Joey says, I do. And Jen goes, no, Joey, no, everyone, you love everyone tonight. And she goes, Joey, let me ask you something. Joey goes, And she goes, do you think you can summon up enough brain powers to answer this little question? And Joey says, is it about our future? And Jen says, no, it's really about the present. And Joey says, shoot. And Jen says, do you happen to know where Drew lives? And Joey goes, ding, ding, ding. I know the answer to that one. Drew lives in an apartment at the yacht with his mother. And Jen says, okay. And what about his father? And Joey says, Tim's New Mexico, I think. I guess he just ran off with the new age trophy. Nice, huh? Left him high and dry. So then we have the next scene, which is scene 4 of Drunk Joey. And Joey and Jen are like sitting there, like the last part. And Andy comes up to join them, and Andy says, oh, there you guys are. I've been looking all over for you. And Joey says, well, it's up here, because if you lived here, you would have found us. Because this, Andy, is where we are. And Jen whispers and goes, ignore her. And she goes, so where's Jack? And Andy says, he's avoiding me. Am I too controlling? And then Jen and Joey both say yes at the same time. And Andy says, thanks for the vote of confidence. Which, again, I love these three. I wish Andy stayed more, because I simply love the fact that they're in this little group. Like, this is the best group. And Joey says, Andy, it's not a judgment. Some people like their salad dressing on the salad, and some people like it on the side. What? I don't know, I was like, I remember the first time I watched this, and I had to rewind back and forth. I'm like, what in the world? And Anna goes, okay. And Jen just looks like she's about to laugh. And she says, well, it's just, I want everyone to know that able to live up to her and his potential. And Joey says, well, I have great potential as a waitress. And Jen says, that's great, Joey. What do you say we get out there, alright? I got someone I owe an apology to. And Joey says, no, stay here. Before everyone leaves the spot, we have a very important question to ask. Where do we see ourselves in 5 years? And not the version that you answered to your college advisor. Come on. And Jen says, alright, I plan to start working on my master's studies. Are men necessary? And all of them laugh. And Annie says, and I guess I'll be a PR, because, we're really good at life painting and facing disaster. And Jen says, Andy? And Andy says, well, think about it. Okay, you're up. And Joey says, you tell me. And Jen says, alright, that's easy one. You have to graduate from a ridiculous expensive Ivy League school, move to New York, where you take a funky, slow art gallery, where you start studying on salaries less than a year's tuition. And Joey laughs and she goes, why New York? And Jen says, because New York is finishing for the science like us. And Joey says, I'm not a science. And Jen says, okay, you're not exactly sunshine personality, Joey. And I like how Jen's right about this. Like, generally, she's actually kind of right about this. And Joey laughs and Andy says, okay, guys, come on. And Joey says, right here, right now, let's make a deal. In 5 years, we'll get back to each other, and we'll see our predictions actually come true. And all of them say deal. And I personally wish that they made this deal, because that would have been really cute. That should have been like the last episode, but they didn't make it. And so they all say deal, and they all start to leave, and Jen says, okay, shall we? And Joey says, we shall. And as they're walking away, Joey goes, oh wait, you guys, how are we going to remember the date? It's not really Jen's birthday. And Jen says, I'll remember it. And Joey says, do you promise? Which is kind of funny. It's just a really funny part of this episode where she's like, drunk Joey. So then we have scene 5 of sober Pacey and drunk Joey, where they're at the poker table, and Drew and Pacey, a woman, and several other players are playing, and the woman begins to take off her top because she loses the hand. When Joey comes up to them, and Drew goes, excellent, I love this girl, it's like she's trying to lose. And Joey says, strip poker? I leave you for 2 seconds, you end up playing strip poker? And Pacey says, ordinarily this was just poker until I started kicking his ass. Then your neighborly friend co-worker decides to change the sights on me, but I'm finished now. We can leave. And Joey says, why leave? There's a half-naked chick in the room. Joey's a jealous Joey. And Pacey says, it's just a game. Up until now, no one's taken anything other than socks. And Joey says, so it's just all clean fun. And Pacey says, yeah, just clean, exactly. Just clean, good, clean, American guy fun. And Joey says, deal me in. And she sits down, and she sits down backwards in the chair. And I love Pacey's reaction because he goes, excuse me? And Joey says, you heard me. Now what does the chick have to take in order to play this game? And Pacey goes, okay, that's enough. And he claps and he goes, it's time for us to leave, because you see, you're drunk You're borderline disorderly, and you're definitely insane. So get up. Let's go, shall we? And he like goes, finished? Because she's like takes a sip of her drink and she goes, it's so funny. And then he goes, stand up, let's go. And Joey goes, you want me to stand up? And Pacey goes, yes, I would like you to stand up now. And Joey says, and why would I do that? And Pacey says, because you are forcing me to be the ultimate guy maneuver. And Pacey like puts her over his shoulders, and then she's like basically freaking out. And she's like, Pacey, you gotta put me down now, I'm fine. And Pacey goes, shh, Pacey goes, I'm fine. And then we see Dawson like watching them too. So then we have the last scene of sober Pacey and drunk Joey. And this is one of the best conversations in this episode. So they're outside and the Potter B&B, and Pacey has just driven Joey home and is getting her out of the car, and Pacey says, alright, you. And Joey says, I can't walk. And Pacey just gives her a look, and Pacey says, before I had to drag you kicking and screaming, but now you want to be carried? No. And Joey says, it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. And Pacey says, but tonight you're one of the guys, remember? A guy's fuck. So come on, number 4. Out you go, watch your head. And Joey says, I don't feel so good. And Pacey says, well, guess what? You're gonna feel even worse tomorrow morning, and you still won't be any closer to an Ivy League institution of your choice. And Joey says, Pacey, I've been doing some thinking. I love drunk Joey. She's just so funny to me. And Pacey says, yeah, drunk thinking. And Joey says, maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I should stay here, you know? I mean, look, it's beautiful here. And I could just, and Pacey says, just what? Stay here and work as a waitress all your life? Come on. I mean, forgive me if you're losing me here, Joe, but to be perfectly honest, you haven't made a single bit of sense all night, even before you were drunk. And Joey says, I want to be with you, Pacey. I want to be with you. And Pacey says, hun, if you want to be with me, then staying here would be a stupid idea, considering I don't plan to be here. I plan to be wherever you are. And Joey goes, really? And Pacey says, yes, really. Not that you deserve such a thing right now. And Joey says, I know, it was a very stupid thing to get drunk. And Pacey says, yes, it was. I mean, let's face it, Joe. You are destined for a cat and glory, and your boyfriend is circling the drain, which is a problem. In fact, it's a really big problem, but you couldn't possibly have thought you could solve all your problems in one night with alcohol of all things. Because I feel like he says that because of his dad. And Joey says, so, and because he goes, oh, and Joey says no, and Pacey says no, because alcohol, you know, it has the effect on problems. It never gets solved ever, and I would hate to think I fell in love with a moron. And Joey goes, so you're in love with me, huh? And Pacey goes, well, currently, no. Right now you're just some crazy girl I gotta get drunk without waking up paying customers at her sister B&B. But generally speaking, yes. And Joey goes, may I kiss you right now? And Pacey goes, yes, please. And they kiss, and she's like kind of spinning him back and forth. And he goes, but I'm still not carrying you. And Joey whispers and like gives him the eye and goes, please. And Pacey says, nope, you can give me the eye, it's just not gonna work. And he goes, oh, come on, honestly, you don't. And then she kisses him again. He goes, oh, Joe, I feel like I just fell off the tulip truck. You don't think I'm gonna fall for this? Joe, and he goes, halfway there, I swear. I'm not kidding. My back is killing me here. Well, I guess since you're out. And then that's when it ends. But, okay, so honestly, with this scene, I think it's one of those scenes where Bessie said it earlier. Like, his dreams are going to be your dreams. Like, your dreams are going to be his dreams, and you'll slowly realize that. And whether the fact that Joey even, like, remembers this or not, it's kind of like a parallel for what's going to happen in Season 5, which we will see. And, like, what? 3, 2, 1, I don't know, like 20 episodes from now, 19 episodes from now, we'll see that happening. And wherever Pacey goes, she always follows. Wherever Joey goes, Pacey always follows Joey in a sense. And I feel like this episode, like, Joey was so nervous about where she was gonna go and how people were gonna view her and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, this episode was really revolving around how Pacey was always gonna be there for Joey. And even Bessie knew that. Like, Bessie knew that, like, how, like, you just need to talk about it because those are your hopes and those are your dreams, and if he loves you enough, like, those are going to be his hopes and dreams too. And it was. At the end of the day, like, he's helping her, he's loving on her, and he does the exact same thing that he did in season 1 where he took care of her while she was drunk. And I think, like, coming from a broken family, like her coming from a broken family, I think Pacey wanted Joey to know that wherever she went, he was going to follow her. And it was one of those things where he wanted her to know that. And yeah, I feel like Pacey is one of those, like, we've seen Pacey, especially in this season right now, like, for the past 3 episodes, Pacey has been that person who does not talk about his feelings. But Joey also is that person too. And I feel like Drunk Joey just had to, like, spark out the real Joey, because when you get the real Joey out there, it's one of those things that makes sense why Joey was so nervous to tell Pacey and why she was so out of it earlier when she was like, okay, let's just go to a party, because that's not the real Joey. And when she was offered alcohol, she took it because she thought that was going to solve her problems. But then Pacey came in and swooped her off her feet and just reminded her that's not how it was going to happen. And I love how he takes care of Joey, and I think Dawson saw that in a sense, but I think, like, here Dawson was watching him do that, and I feel like, considering what happened last episode, we needed Pacey to do that to realize that Pacey was always going to take care of Joey in a sense that I don't really think that Dawson could ever because I don't think Dawson could just pick up Joey like the way that Pacey did. So, if you like this podcast, please make sure to come back on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Make sure to review this podcast, give it 5 stars, leave a kind review, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that's Jacey's Creek Podcast, and leave your thoughts down below. You can put a thumbs up if you like, but please leave your thoughts down below, whatever you're thinking about this episode or a past episode, or even a future episode that you'd like me to mention. And lastly, if you have not already, make sure to follow my Instagram, that's Witter and Potter, my TikTok, that's Pacey and Joey, and again, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, I post every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Do all the things. Bye, guys.